begin to make this child's pose a bit more active. So if your elbows were bent or your arms by your side, see if you can reach them out in front of you. And then begin to press a bit more through the finger pads. And then you might feel that you can lift your palms just a little bit off the ground. And then as you press a bit more through those fingers, you might be able to lift your forearms, your elbows, if they were resting on the ground. And then as you find that more active, those more active arms and shoulders, think about sending those sit bones a little further down and back. And then as if you were trying to drag your fingers towards you, keep them where they're at, but begin to pull towards you. So again, feel the activation now through your shoulders. Try to keep your face relaxed. Notice the press through the fingers. Take another full breath in and a full breath out. And then keep that action through your arms and begin to find a bit more action through your legs. So any part of your legs that is in touch with the mat, see if you can push into it. So pushing through the shins and the tops of the feet. And then still think about dragging those fingers towards you without moving them. And then think about drawing the knees towards your fingers. And feel now the difference between a passive pose, a passive child's pose, and now a really active one. And then with your next exhale, allow yourself to relax once again. So give your fingers a little wiggle, maybe your wrists, a little rotation. And then walk your hands towards the left side and walk your right hand just a little further as you keep your right sit bone down. Feel a stretch through the right side of the body. And then walk your hands back through center and then all the way towards the right. Maybe your left hand reaches a little further and you find that stretch through the left side, left sit bone down. And then let's take it again, back through center and then towards the left. And then this time, wrap your right hand around or the left wrist or any part of that left forearm. And then pull. Pull through that right hand, bending that right elbow. And then again, sink your right sit bone down. So again, activation through that upper body, those arms, those shoulders. And then release, walk your hands back through center. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So now towards the right. And then that left hand is going to grab a hold of that right wrist or any part of the forearm. And then once again, find that pull, bending that left elbow and then pulling on that right arm. Left sit bone sits down, breathing in and breathing out. And then bring yourself back through center and once again find more of a relaxed child's pose, dropping the head. Full breath in and full breath out. With your next inhale, walk your hands a bit closer to you. Just enough so that you can lift your hips off your heels, tuck your toes. And now bring your knees a bit more hip width if you had them wide. And then we're going to go again now into an active child's pose with the thighs more or less parallel and the toes tucked. So arms are out in front of you. Begin to activate through those arms, through those fingers. And then begin to push into the balls of the feet and just float your knees off the mat. See if you can keep your sit bones drawing towards your heels. Take a full breath in. Take a full breath out. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, lower your knees down. Soften for a moment. We'll do it again. Bend your elbows for a second here. Breathing in and breathing out. And then again, begin to push through those hands. Lift those elbows and then begin to float your knees off the mat. Sit bones towards your heels, the head between those arms. And again, really making it active. I'm sure it feels quite, not like a resting child's pose for sure. One more breath. And then as you exhale, release those knees. Again, untuck those toes. And this time bring your arms by your side with your palms facing up. Allow the fronts of the shoulders to drop towards the mat and the forehead to be kind of close to your knees. Sometimes here it's nice to let the head kind of rock a bit. So if you're kind of on the top of the head, you might turn your chin towards one shoulder and the other. Give the neck a little release too. One more breath. And then if you found movement through the neck, find stillness. Bring your arms once again out in front of you. And then from here, just lift your hips slightly, just enough so that you can slide your right arm under the left, threading. Bring the right shoulder blade towards the mat, and then let your head rest. So thread the needle, but not in a table pose, a bit more kind of like a half child's pose, half table pose. Reach your left fingers a little further forward. Send your sit bones back and down. Breathe in and breathe out. And then walk your left hand back towards you, unthread, and the same thing on the other side. So threading that left arm under the right, bringing the outer part of your left shoulder to the mat, the head, and then maybe walking those right fingers a little further forward. And keep sending your sit bones back. Breathing in and breathing out. And then walking that right hand back towards you, and then unthreading and coming all the way up into a table pose. And now once you're in your table pose, send your left fingers to point towards the left, so a little wrist work here, and then your right fingers to point towards the right, and then your left fingers to point towards you any amount, and then your right fingers to point towards you again any amount. And then let's take it out again. Left fingers out, right fingers out. Left fingers forward, right fingers forward. And then left fingers towards the right and right fingers towards the left. So fingers kind of facing one another. And then from here, just rock a bit from side to side with your torso. See if you can press a bit more through your fingers and the base of your fingers. As if you were trying to claw a little bit the mat. Okay, so your fingers are not hyperextended here. They're not flat. They've got a little curve, a little doming on them. One more breath from side to side. And then bring yourself back through center. Fingers are going to point forward. And then flip your left palm up. Fingers point towards you, and the top of the hand is just going to press against the mat for a moment. A nice counter stretch here. Breathing in and breathing out. And then release, left palm down, and same thing with the right side. Right palm facing up and fingers pointing towards you. Press the top of the hand slightly into the mat. Don't overdo it. And then come back onto your palms. As you inhale, drop the belly, bring the chest forward into cow pose. Lift through that tailbone. And then as you exhale, round your spine. And again, inhale, drop the belly, chest forward, gaze up. Exhale and round. And inhale, cow pose. And as you exhale, finding your cat pose. And now neutral spine, tuck your toes, and we're going to float those knees off the mat. Pausing here, broaden through your upper back. Keep your knees just a few inches off the ground, your shins more or less parallel to it. Another inhale, strong through not only arms but legs. Exhale. One more breath. And then as you exhale, lowering those knees, untuck the toes, give the tops of the feet a little press against the mat. And then as you inhale, reach your left arm out and up towards the ceiling. Breath in. And as you exhale, thread that arm under the right, breath out. Again, inhale, open towards your left reach. Exhale, thread to the right. Inhale, open. And exhale and thread. Now as you inhale, open up and swim that left arm all the way forward as you exhale. Come onto your right forearm and then keep reaching those left fingers forward. And you could stay here or extend your right leg out behind you, maybe with the ball of the foot on the ground, or maybe you lift that right leg up. Make sure that you're feeling grounded and stable. You want your hips to stay pointing down And you're using that right glute and that right hamstring to lift that right leg. Breath in and breath out. And then lowering that back knee, coming back with that left hand and back into your table pose. We'll switch sides. Right hand now is going to reach out and then up, open up to the right. Exhale, thread to the left. And again, open up, making space. Exhale, thread. And open, inhale. And thread, exhale. Now as you inhale, find that space, open, and then reach forward, land on your fingertips, and then come onto your left forearm. As you land, you might walk your right fingers further, and then extend through your left leg, maybe toes on the ground, or maybe again you find the lift through that leg. But again, try not to open up. That might tweak your balance a bit. See if you can keep your hips pointing down and you're really using that hamstring and that glute to lift the leg. Another breath in and another breath out. And then coming back, releasing that left knee down, coming back onto your hands, and this time coming into downward facing dog. So tucking your toes, lifting those knees all the way, sit bones up and back. As you arrive in downward facing dog, take a few breaths, maybe some movement, anything that feels good to you. And check in with your grounding, check in with the base through your hands. And a lot of times, and I say that, spreading fingers, but sometimes we can overspread, and then it's difficult to kind of find a grip on the ground. So you've got to find that place, again, talking about balance, right? That the right place for you, and some days it's one, some days it's another. And that's why we practice, see where we're at. Take another full breath in, chest towards your thighs. Full breath out. And then with your next inhale, walk your feet to your hands, and we'll meet at the top of the mat in a forward fold. Hold on to opposite elbows and take a deep breath in. As you exhale, bend into your right knee, straighten through your left. And then inhale, straighten the right. Switch, bending into the left. One more time each side. Inhale. Right knee bends. And inhale. And left knee bends. And now with your next inhale, transfer hands to your hips. Keep a little bend in those knees and slowly unroll your spine. One vertebra stacks over the other as you rise up. Arms dangled by your side and you're finding your mountain pose. Reach the crown of the head tall. Maybe close your eyes for a moment. Feel the feet on the ground. Maybe there's a bit of a sway. And then open eyes, reach your arms tall, breathing in. And as you exhale, lower your right arm down, side stretch. Back through center, inhale. Take it to the other side, exhale. Back through center, inhale. Fold forward, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. And step back, downward facing dog, exhale. Inhale, roll out into a plank pose. And as you exhale, move back into downward facing dog. Give your toes a bit of a massage as you do this. 2 more times. Plank, breathing in. Maybe you're on the tiptoes. And plank, down dog, breathing out. Heels down. And one more. Inhale into your plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, take a full breath in, lifting those heels. And then to a count of 3 as you exhale, lowering those knees to the mat. 3 and 2, knees are still lifted. And 1, they're hovering. And then on to your mat. Come into your table pose. Bring your hands under your shoulders. And as you breathe in, drop the belly, lift the chest, keep your toes tucked. And then as you breathe out, lift your knees, hover them, and come into cat pose with your spine. And now see if you can go through some cows and cats with your knees floating. Inhale, cow. Exhale, and cat, rounding. One more time. Keep those shins parallel to the ground. Inhale. And exhale and round into cat. Nice job. Lowering those knees, untuck your toes if you had them tucked, and puppy pose. So keep your knees and your hips in line, hands go wide, and then they walk forward. Chest is dropping towards the ground. You might be on your forearms. Maybe the head drops too. Lift those sit bones. See if you can feel that stretch through your chest, your armpits. One more breath. And then with your next inhale, come all the way onto the belly. We're coming into Sphinx pose. So your hips are down, your belly is down, but then we're lifting the chest. So your elbows are under your shoulders, your forearms are parallel, your palms are facing down. And now little tweaks here. Engage glutes and think about drawing your elbows towards your hips as you bring your chest between your arms. Draw the shoulder blades down and back. Lift the crown of the head. So quite a bit of a back bend it can be, so make sure that the lower back is okay. Breath in and breath out. If it's available, we're going to take it a little further. If not, stay here. So press into your hands and see if you can float your elbows any amount. Maybe your arms begin to straighten some, but don't worry if they don't. Again, quite intense on lower back, so be cautious here. Keep those glutes engaged. Breath in and breath out. Coming back onto those forearms if you lifted, and then from here, lower the chest all the way down, forearms in front of you, and relax the forehead on those forearms. Heels out, away from one another, wiggle your hips from side to side. Take a full breath in, and take a long breath out. One more inhale, and exhale. And then engage the legs and the glutes once again. This time bring your hands wide, so they're probably going to come off the mat. Plant your fingertips and lift your elbows. So if you were looking at this pose from the front, you might look like a capital M shape, right? Your head kind of in the middle down and your elbows pointing up. And then as you breathe in, let's lift that torso, inhale. And then as you breathe out, see if you can drop just your right shoulder. So there's a bit of a twist here, right shoulder towards the mat. So I'll face the screen for a moment here. So as you breathe in, you come back through center, and then left shoulder towards the mat. So you're turning your torso towards the right. And then inhale back through center, right shoulder towards the mat. And inhale through center, and left shoulder towards the mat. Now, as you inhale, come back through center, and then on your exhale, release all the way down. Bring your hands now under your shoulders, and with your next breath in, tucking those toes, come through all fours, and find downward facing dog. Exhale. Full breath. And another inhale, and exhale. Now with your next inhale, walking those feet towards your hands. Once again, let's meet at the top of the mat, forward fold. A little bend in those knees. Maybe you hold onto opposite elbows in front of your legs, or maybe behind your legs if that's available. Give yourself a couple cycles of breath. With your next inhale, release those elbows, bend your knees deep and rise into chair pose. Arms will lift. And now as you exhale, half chair, so torso comes towards your thighs and your arms sweep back. Crown of the head is reaching forward. So we're not coming completely into a forward fold. The legs stay as they are. The torso is going to lift and lower. So as you inhale, come back into full chair, torso lifts. As you exhale, arms back, torso lowers towards your thighs. One more time like that. Inhale and lift. And exhale and lower. Now as you inhale, come back into your full chair. And as you exhale, bring hands to your heart. Place weight into your left foot and lift your right knee towards your chest. And then as you exhale, send your right foot all the way back, and we're coming into a low lunge. Hands are going to frame that front foot. Maybe hands on blocks. As you breathe in, drop the hips, lift the chest. And as you breathe out, straighten that front leg, hips back. 2 more times. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale and back. And inhale, forward. And exhale, back. Pause here, front leg straight or working towards straight. Micro bend in the knee, always good, so don't overdo it. Take another breath. And then with your next inhale, bend into that front knee. Keep your right hand planted and sweep your left arm towards the ceiling. So you're turning towards the left into a twisted lunge. Take a full breath in here. And take a full breath out. 1 more inhale. And exhale. And then from here, we're going to try and make our way into side plank. Okay, so I'll give you a couple options. One option is to drop that back knee and then find that swivel through that right shin and then send your left leg back. Okay, and then you're coming into your supported side plank. The other option is to keep that back knee lifted and begin to roll onto the pinky toe side of that right foot and then lift your left foot. And with as much control as you can, stack those feet or bring that left foot in front of the right. Side plank, wherever you are, take a full breath in. Take a full breath out. 1 more inhale. And then as you exhale, let's all meet in a plank pose. Once you are there, find a little movement, shift from side to side, front and back. Maybe some circles with the whole body. And you could do this with knees down too. Breath in and breath out. Come back into a still plank. Take another inhale, push the floor away. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. Relax through the neck. Take a full breath in. And take a long breath out. 1 more breath in. And breath out. With your next inhale, look forward. Walk your feet towards your hands. And find yourself in a forward fold once again at the top of your mat. Good place here to give those wrists a little attention. So in your forward fold, you could bring palms to touch, interlace your fingers, find a little roll through the wrists. Let the neck relax, the head be heavy. Breath in and a breath out. If you're close to the ground too, you might be able to flip your hands, palms facing up, and again that counter stretch for your wrists might feel nice here. You could bend your knees as much as needed to get those hands down. 1 more breath. And then from here, let's find those chair poses again. So as you're ready, bend into those knees and reach your arms and torso up, arms by your ears. And then that half chair, exhale, arms by your side, reaching back as the crown of the head reaches forward. Not much change through the legs as we go through this. Inhale and lift, full chair. Exhale, half chair. And inhale, full chair. And exhale, half chair. Nice job. Come back into your full chair, arms lift. Exhale, bring hands to your heart. This time we're going to ground into that right leg and we're going to lift that left knee up. And then from here, slowly send that left foot back. And then see if you can land in your lunge. And then lowering your hands once again, or to the floor or to blocks. From here, drop the hips, bring the chest forward, lift, inhale. And exhale, hips back, straighten that front leg. 2 more times, breath in, inhale. coming forward. Breath out and take it back. One more time. Inhale, forward. And exhale and back. Now pause here for a moment. Try to square your hips. Try to draw your right hip slightly back, your left hip slightly forward. Full breath in. And full breath out. One more inhale. And exhale. And then bending into that front knee, coming back into your lunge. Left hand stays planted. You're opening up this time towards the right side. Finding your twist. Taking a full breath in. Make space. Push through that bottom hand. Full breath out. And we're going to find our side plank on this side. So again, two options here. Or maybe there's others, of course, always others if you get creative. So left knee can lower. And then you pivot on that left knee and you take your right leg all the way out. You come into your side plank, knee down, or you keep the knee lifted. Come onto the outer pinky toe side of that left foot and then strong through that right leg. Keep lifting those hips and you come into side plank with the knees lifted. Breathing in. And breathing out. Use your legs here, your glutes. Give them a little squeeze. One more breath. And then on your exhale, let's come into plank pose. We'll meet there. And once again, just a little movement here. You know, you could even try lifting one hand and the other as you shift your hips from side to side. It's a nice way of giving the wrists a little break too. And then you could go forward and back. And give those toes a bit of a massage too. One more breath. And then on your exhale, make your way into downward facing dog. And maybe an open mouth exhale here. Let go of the effort for a moment. Make any adjustments in your pose. You need to adjust the distance between your feet and your hands. Spread your fingers a little more or bring them in. Activate a bit more through that upper back. Take one more breath. And then this time with your next inhale, walk your hands towards your feet. So coming towards the back of the mat. And then once you get there again, holding on to opposite elbows, or if it feels good, you could interlace your hands and bring them to the back of the neck. And then with your elbows heavy, allow that extra heaviness to lengthen that spine to find a bit more space between vertebrae and a stretch for that back body. Again, full breath in. And full breath out. One more inhale here. And exhale. And then let's release those arms. Once again, bring your hands to your hips. A little bend in those knees and slowly stack one vertebra over the other as you make your way up to stand. Once you get to your mountain pose, arms by your side, shoulders down, grow a little taller through the top of the head. And then as you breathe in, let's reach those arms tall, inhale. And on your exhale, find your side stretch towards the right. So right arm down and reach up and over with your left. And then this time we're going to add something here. So that right arm, turn your palm to face back. So thumb is going to be kind of pointing towards your leg, and then slide that arm behind you, bend the elbow and see if you can bring your right hand towards the left side of the lower back or even around to the left side of your waist. And then as you come into that stretch towards the right side, push into that right hand with the left side of the body. Keep your shoulders more or less stacked and take another breath in. And another breath out. And then come back through center. Inhale, both arms lift. And we'll do the same on the other side. Come into your side stretch towards the left. And then once you've got that, turn your left palm. Slide that arm behind you, bending at the elbow. So the arm is kind of at your lower back. And then your left hand comes around to the right side of the lower back, around the waist maybe. If you've got monkey arms, it might even wrap all the way around. But that's just, something that you can't really control. It's just what it is. And now see if you can push those hips into that hand. Find a little extra stretch. And then as you breathe in, come back through center. Reach your arms tall. And then on your exhale, fold forward. Once you're in your forward fold, bring those arms behind you, interlace those fingers at the lower back, and then find that extra stretch for your shoulders, reaching the knuckles towards the ceiling, maybe dropping them overhead. Any amount that is available in your shoulders today. Chin is tucking towards the chest, the crown of the head is heavy. And just taking a full breath in and a full breath out. And one more. And then releasing those hands, inhale into a half lift and exhale, folding forward. Now walking your hands to the top of the mat, coming into your plank pose. And we're going to lower all the way down onto the belly. So knees can come down. See if you can do it with control and slow it down so you really engage and create some strength through that upper body. Think about the chest and the belly arriving more or less at the same time. And then once you're all the way down, untuck your toes, bring those forearms in front of you and take a moment to rest the forehead on them. Relax through the body. Feel once again the closeness of the ground, the stability, maybe the safety. Full breath in and full breath out. One more inhale and exhale. And then from here, activate your legs some. We're going to come back into that Sphinx pose. So again, those elbows more or less under those shoulders, and you want them shoulder width, your forearms parallel, palms on the ground. And then think about drawing those elbows again towards your hips as you draw your chest between those elbows. We're going to pause for a breath in and a breath out. Keep drawing the shoulder blades towards one another. And now as you lower the chin, try to keep that squeeze between the shoulder blades, chin to chest. Space in the back of the neck. Squeeze through the glutes, press through the tops of the feet. Another full breath in. And then on your exhale, gently release back down. So from here on your belly, bend your left knee, and we're going to bring the left knee out to the side and up. So we're going to look for 90-degree angles more or less with that left leg. So at your hip, at your knee, and at your ankle. Okay, so play around with it a bit and see. And then you can stay with your chest down and your head down, and then pressing through the inner part of that left leg. Or you could come into a bit more of a back bend. Come again onto your forearms into that Sphinx pose with the upper body. Okay. Give us a squeeze through the right glute and make your right leg active. So the leg that's extended back is also working here. Okay, and it will help also protect the lower back. And then again, depending on how that lower back is, you might stay on your forearms, or you might press through those hands and lift your elbows some. But again, be careful, don't overdo it. And then don't lose the press of the left inner part of the left leg against the ground. So it's quite a inner thigh stretch as well as a back bend, shoulder work. And then breath. Remember your breath in and your breath out. One more inhale wherever you are. And then as you exhale, coming back up to forearms if you were lifted, and then come back all the way onto your belly and chest. And then gently bring the left heel towards the glute, and then slide that knee. And then lengthen that leg out behind you. Shake the legs a bit, wiggle the hips, give yourself a full breath in. Full breath out. Notice any effects of those movements and poses. And then when you're ready, we'll go on to the other side. So this time it will be the right knee that's going to bend, open up, and lift up. And try to align that right knee with your right hip, and then the ankle with the knee, and then those 90-degree angles, more or less. And then before you do anything else, give a little push through the inner part of that right leg towards the ground. Full breath in and full breath out. Activate through your left leg, and then maybe stay here, maybe come onto forearms. And if you're doing forearms, think about again that reach of the chest forward, the lift of the crown of the head. And perfectly fine to stay here. You might explore pressing down through your hands, your fingers, and then maybe floating those elbows up. But again, if it puts too much stress on that lower back, on that inner right thigh, then come back onto your forearms. Try to move those shoulders away from your ears. Relax through the face. And again, full breath in and full breath out. One more, wherever you're at. And then gently releasing back down onto forearms, then onto belly and chest. And then drawing the right heel towards the glute, and then sliding that right knee next to the left and extending your right leg out. Rest for a moment, wiggle those hips, shift a bit from side to side. And then here on your belly, take a deep breath in and allow the belly to expand into the mat. And take a long breath out and draw the belly away from the mat. So just with your breath, you're counteracting those back bends. See if you can do that again. Breath in, belly expands, pushes into the mat. And then breath out, belly draws away from the mat. And then bring your hands under your shoulders and gently push yourself into child's pose with those knees together, those sit bones towards the heels and the forehead towards those knees, towards the floor. So making yourself quite rounded here, if that's available. And whatever you want to do with your arms, a couple options, arms by your side, out in front of you. And if you've got them out in front of you, it might feel nice to bring the palms touching, thumbs pointing up, and then bend your elbows to bring the thumbs to the back of the head, the neck. Getting a bit of a tricep stretch here. And staying for about 5 breaths, and see if you can feel the inhales expanding any part of the body that needs expanding. And if the back bends is still kind of lingering there might be some compression in that lower back. So see if you can expand as you breathe in into those areas. And then relax them as you breathe out. And then use your next inhale to release those arms if you had them behind you. And then gently walk your fingers towards you as you lift your spine. Making your way into a seat, you might come up onto your knees and shift your feet to the side, and then lower your sit bones behind you. Planting your feet in front of you with the knees bent. And then feet wide and knees wide, and we're coming into a rounded spine again. So those arms or the hands are going to come between your feet, and then just walk them forward. Keeping your feet planted, your knees wide, your sit bones planted, reach through those fingers. And then stop the reaching and the striving and arrive and be where you're at. So allow your elbows to bend some, allow the head to drop, chin towards the chest, allow your shoulders to relax. And then once again, you can allow your inhales to expand any area that needs expanding. And then your exhales now to soften any area that could do with some softening. Taking one more breath in and breath out. And then let's walk those hands back towards us as we lift that spine. Bring your feet to hip width. And then before we come all the way down, let's come into a boat pose. So options, hands behind you. If you're feeling like supporting the spine a bit more, do so. So plant your hands or maybe even fists, and just keeping that opening or that broad chest. Look for a kind of V shape with your thighs and your torso. And then from here, see if you can come onto the tiptoes and maybe float your shins parallel to the ground. So I'm saying float a lot. I guess the dragon boat is having an effect. This floating. All right. So staying here if you wish, or you could transfer your arms to come in line with your legs, or depending where you're at. But keep that chest broad. You might even lift your arms by your ears. And depending where you're at, you might lengthen those legs. But try not to compromise the length and the space in the spine, the broad chest here. Take a full breath in wherever you're at. Full breath out. One more inhale. And then as you exhale, gently lowering those feet, plant. Your arms reach in front of you, and we're going to come all the way down onto our back, slowly and with control, breathing in. As you exhale, rolling down, lower back. Keep the chin close to your chest, mid back, upper back, and lastly, the head. Nice job. Once you get here, some gentle bridge poses, heels under those knees, arms by your side, lifting your hips not too high, just enough to release a bit those hips, that lower back, those hip flexors. And then exhale to lower. And again, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And one more time, inhale and lift. And exhale and lower. From here, if the lower back feels like it needs a little extra stretch, bring one knee into your chest first, test that out. And then you could switch, bring the other knee on its own, or bring both knees in if that feels good, and rocking a bit from side to side. Staying grounded through that back body. And then eventually lowering those feet back to the ground. Let your knees rest against one another. Bring the hands to your belly. Find that slight tuck of your tailbone as you get that lower back closer to the ground, more supported. And then maybe close your eyes and let yourself breathe. We'll find stillness for these last moments of practice. You might stay here. You might lengthen your legs out. You might choose to be on your side today. Or you might be more comfortable in a seat. Whatever you are, let's find a few moments of stillness and quiet. Nothing to do right now. And if you have the time, you'd like to stay a bit longer, feel free to do that. If you're ready to move, tune into that breath and then find any movement that works for you. Maybe you start with fingers and toes, maybe ankles and wrists. Maybe you draw knees into your chest and rock a bit from side to side. Eventually from that back body, you can roll onto the side body. And then pause for a full breath in and a full breath out. And then use your hands propping yourself up. Find a comfortable seat. And we'll take a moment to end practice together. Maybe hands rest on your lap or you bring them to your heart. You find that lifted spine, relax the shoulders down. And then taking this moment to acknowledge the practice. And we'll acknowledge ourselves also for practicing. And then all those who have practiced with us. And then all those who have made it possible. We'll end with a word that means that the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.